this channel. I can't even think of when the last one I did was, or what it even could have been a review for. Let me take a look. When's the last time I did a movie review? Creed 3, all the way back in March was the last time. Creed 3, that's crazy. But today, I want to talk about this movie. You might have heard of it, you might not have. It's kind of gotten it's kind of blown up a little bit on social media because of one scene in particular, the dog scene. If you've seen this movie, you know what I'm saying. You might have seen the clip like on TikTok or Twitter or something, but the movie I want to talk about today is called When Evil Lurks. When Evil Lurks. It's an Argentinian film written and directed by Damian Rugna. And forgive me if I get any of the pronunciations wrong here. I'm not the best with Spanish pronunciations. Starring Ezequiel Rodriguez, Damian Salaman, Luis Zimbrowski, Sylvia Sabater, and Marcelo Michino. Now, the reviews that I do on this channel, if you guys have watched them before, you guys know I don't do a structured movie review, and I don't do like a spoiler-free and then a spoiler section. My movie reviews are very much sort of just go, like it just kind of comes out as I go. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you want to avoid spoilers, I'll just say at this point, go see the movie, get it on streaming. I don't know if it's in theaters. It came out October 27th, I think, or 23rd maybe. I don't know if it's got a wide scale release in the United States. Maybe if you have like a specialty independent theater near you, they could be playing it, but you'll probably be able to find this on streaming somewhere, like Shudder or Amazon Prime or something. And if you've been thinking about watching this, go watch it. It's an amazing movie. Go watch it. And that if you don't want spoilers, I would say leave now, because I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna throw them in as I talk. But man, what a movie! This is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a very long time. This is probably the best horror movie I've seen since Midsummer. Probably since Midsummer. And now there is, what's funny is there is another Argentinian horror movie I've been meaning to see for a while now. Historia de lo Coto. And now that I've seen this one and it's so good, I want to go watch that one, History of the Occult. But yeah, because I was introduced to this movie the way that probably most people were. I saw on social media the clip of the dog attacking the little girl, which obviously is very shocking, right? It's not something you see in movies nowadays. Children being injured, things like that, especially as viciously and brutally as that happened. So I went to the comment section of that video and I found the name of the movie and I looked it up, and When Evil Lurks. I was like, okay, and I looked it up and I saw that it had a 99% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. 99%. And that blew my mind. I was like, man, I don't know if I've ever seen a movie besides like some of the classics, obviously like Casablanca, Godfather, or whatever, that have a 99%, like a modern movie getting a 99%. I was like, I have to check this out. And I was reading some of the reviews, and all the reviews were saying the same thing. They're like, this is extremely visceral, it's extremely graphic, it's in your face, and it's like actually very scary and horrifying, terrifying. And I know that, Asian horror movies, especially Japanese and Korean horror movies, those, they don't pull their punches. And I'm starting to think these Argentinian movies, these Spanish language movies, I need to check out some more of these, because honestly, American horror movies, it feels like they really are kind of scared to just like go for it, like they kind of pull their punches a little bit. They get, wide scale releases, because they're trying to be popcorn flicks, kind of, to make a cheap horror movie, take your date to it, whatever. But so many Western, and I want to say Western because Argentina is a Western country, even though it's in South America, but it's a first world country. But so many of these English language, I'll say North American horror movies, American horror movies are just so boring and formulaic, and then you see something like this, it doesn't pull any punches, it's extremely graphic and brutal, but they're using like, this movie's made super cheap, I think like 500 grand it was made for, like super cheap. A lot of practical effects, which is really cool, like even the monster effects, it gets a lot of prosthetics, really cool stuff they did on a cheap budget. Reminded me of old school horror movies from the 80s and 90s, kind of. And like some of the body horror in this, some of the gore in this, now it's not just murder porn, right? It's well done, it's actually scary, and it's not graphic just to be graphic. And the way they showed things, like when the wife was just slamming her head into the tip of the axe over and over again, like things like that stick with you. The mom walking down the street eating the brains out of her own son's head, like it's a bowl of popcorn, right? Like it really sticks with you. And what I really found interesting about this movie is there's a lot of world building going on all around you, but they don't elaborate on it at all. So it's like this movie has its internal lore, its internal world building that the screenwriters know about, but they don't feel the need to like show off this cool world they created to you. They just show you a story happening within that world, and that's a very interesting premise. And as somebody who writes myself, obviously not like this, but I've written screenplays, I've written short stories. As somebody who writes, that's a very difficult thing to do, because you create these worlds and you're like inclined to show them off, you feel compelled to, and they didn't do that here. But if you pay attention to some of the little things that are happening in this movie, the world is very interesting. They talk about the church being dead. They talk about, obviously, like the idea of somebody being possessed by a demon, which is what this whole movie about, is obviously just kind of widely accepted in this world as something that can happen. There's entire people dedicated to hunting down these demons and getting rid of them. They call them cleaners. So it's like this, my personal, it's kind of like post-apocalyptic in a way. It feels like this is after some sort of societal collapse. My personal opinion on the world of the movie is that it is post-biblical rapture. That's personally what I believe. The world of the movie is going to talk about the church being dead and all this stuff, and obviously you have like now demons just sort of walking the earth, and that kind of goes in line with Revelation and the biblical apocalypse. So my personal headcanon, I think that's what's going on in this movie, but obviously that's open to interpretation, right? It might not even, who knows, it might just be a biological thing, it might not be a demon at all, but that's part of what I think makes this movie so compelling. But yeah, amazing performances all across the board. There's so many moments in this movie that, like, I'm somebody that doesn't really get disturbed by films, and this isn't disturbing by any means, but this movie, the filmmakers here did such a good job of building tension that they literally had me, like, leaning back, covering my eyes. Like the infamous dog scene, they kept cutting to that dog over and over and over. Like the characters would be doing something, cut to the dog, dog. And you saw the kids interacting with the dog, the kids getting closer to the dog, and you knew something was gonna happen. And then just like boom, then it snapped and happens. And the movie does such an amazing job at building tension, but they do it so organically. They're not doing like that, oh, the violin strings are getting higher and higher pitched, and then it happens. They don't use those little tricks to build tension. They do it all organically. It's building up, like the scene is just building up, and like now that I think about it, I can't think of any music in this movie. I'm trying to think, but I mean, the soundtrack was either really just in the background and not, but like they weren't using audio cues to try and, like, you know, trigger the scary moments. They let the shots speak for themselves. There was like no CGI, or if there was, it was like very minimal and just done to like help aid the effect, but you know, you don't have any like spinning ghost vortexes and levitating whatever. It's all very organic and grounded. It all looks very real. And yeah, some of the scenes, obviously the dog scene, like I said, when the son finally gets possessed, Jair, because the son has autism, and they say they're with the lady, and she's saying like, oh, because he has autism, like the demon is possessing his body, but it can't figure out how to possess his mind, and the son is like very severely autistic, and he can't sit still, he doesn't like being touched, he can't speak, right? And he's like been struggling, you know, they know the demon's in him, but they're like, well, can't take control of him because of, you know, his brain is so different. And then like the family leaves, Pedro leaves, Jaime leaves, and they're going to try and find the mom. They're trying to find I think Uriel. They're trying to find Uriel so that they can help the cleaner kill Uriel, which should like cleanse, right, everything that's happening. And then the son, who, you know, this entire movie we've seen him, he's severely autistic, he's nonverbal. He comes walking into the house, walking perfectly upright, and he starts speaking in complete sentences to the grandma. He's like, oh, can you get me a cup of tea? I'm hungry, all this stuff. That movie, like, that moment, like, they're not doing anything there other than just paying off the storytelling, paying off the setups. You've seen this kid, you've seen how he is normally, you know something's happening to him, but you don't really know what's happening, and all of a sudden, a complete opposite shift in how he's acting, and just that's enough to just scare you. And like, it's hard to explain, but this movie, like the art of filmmaking in this movie is so fantastic. The movie's an hour and a half long, and the pacing is so good. You'll feel like you sat down for 45 minutes, watched an episode of like a TV show on Netflix, and then it's over. Like, the pacing is so good. I will say the first half of this film is much stronger than the second half. It kind of slows down a little bit after they get to the cleaner's house out in the woods. I think her name is Mirtha. Once they get to her house, the movie went from like a 10 out of 10 to like an 8 out of 10 for me, right? So it was still really good, but the first half of this movie is just boom, 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 boom. Like, it's like Michael Jordan with the Bulls in the first half of this movie. It's like the MJ Bulls, right? just have like amazing set piece. And I would say like the minute the mom kidnaps the son, from that point onward, it's a little bit worse. It's still really good, but the first 45 minutes of this movie is perfect. The second half, maybe, you could have dumped a little bit of a rewrite, maybe edited a little bit different, I don't know, but, yeah, the ending, the way it ended, the ending is the weakest part for me of the film, because the film has such strict rules that it follows really well, I feel like, right up until about the end. Also, all of a sudden at the end, Pedro just kind of like becomes an idiot. Like, the only reason that they didn't kill the demon and like fix everything is just because literally at the last minute he decides to turn into an idiot, which he hadn't been the entire movie. He's there with the cleaner. She's setting up the device. They have the demon right there, like trapped. She's gonna kill it. And then the possessed little girl's like lying to him and manipulating him. Like, the whole idea of the movie is like they're gonna lie to you, manipulate you. If they tell you something, just do the opposite, basically. And the whole movie he'd been doing that. He's like, okay, they're lying to me, don't do what they say. And all of a sudden she's like, there's an axe in the office, go get it. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna do that then. Like, no, this whole movie you haven't been listening to them, because that's what you're not supposed to do that. But now, at like the penultimate moment where you're about to kill the thing and solve everything, now you fall for its trap, and then the cleaner lady gets killed and the Antichrist is born. Which I like that they don't like really tell you too much like what happens to that. You have the demon baby gets born, it like touches his forehead and leaves that mark on him which can't get washed off, which I thought that was really cool. The imagery, the iconography of that, the three like blood red marks on his forehead, which, for anyone who's into theology or anything, that's the mocking of the Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. That's like a mocking of that. So they did really good with the religious iconography, all that stuff, all the like. But what I do like too is like, this is obviously very demonic, end of the world, possession type stuff, but it's not like, it still is so sort of semi-vague to where it could still maybe be grounded in reality, and well, not until the demon baby's born, I should say, but it's not like super religious. I've said before, I do like a good like Catholic horror movie, but yeah, the ending of the movie is crazy. He's feeding Jair ice cream. He starts choking, he pulls the spoon away, and the kid starts coughing up Grandma, pulling Grandma out of his mouth. And at that moment, Jair kind of gives him this side-eye look, but then goes back to normal. And I like that leaves it open to interpretation, where you don't know if everyone is still possessed or not. Like, are they still possessed? Are they not? And then somebody pointed this out. I didn't actually notice this on first viewing, but somebody pointed this out at the end when Pedro's in the front lawn and he's breaking down crying because everything's just happened. Jaime is behind him, and he's smiling, which is very interesting. So it's like, you don't know, not like that's a very ambiguous and open, but yeah, like I said, go see this movie right now if you haven't gone and seen it. It is not even just one of the best horror movies, one of the best movies I've seen in a really long time. I strongly recommend this movie. I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10. Go see this right now. I'm definitely gonna watch this again. I'm gonna sit with it a little bit. Probably watch it a little bit, like maybe in a month or so, watch it a second time. And I definitely need to go watch History of the Occult as well. Like I said, that's another Argentinian horror movie. And like I didn't realize Argentina did horror so well. I had to check out some more of these, but that's pretty much it. If you guys have seen this movie, let me know in the comments down below what you thought. If you liked it, what you did or didn't like about it. I have to imagine if you've seen this movie, you did like it. I can't, unless, there's some stuff that I could see some people being very sensitive to, so I'll give you that, but, I can't imagine you not liking this movie if you can, handle the content of it. But if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Until next time, guys.